Welcome everybody to, I think, what's going to be a very impactful and emotional and hopefully educational Save My Piggies. We have Jenny, who is the daughter of a patient who's right now struggling to survive, who's very sick, and she's going to share the story of her mom with us. And as Kim, as you know, Save My Piggies is devoted to patient advocacy and really allows patients and family members to tell their story. So let's just get into it. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phillips. Thank you, Kim. Hi, my name is Jenny Tarakengo. I am the daughter of my mom's name, Chantal. I won't say the last name. Well, what happened is my mom came from Africa after post-COVID. She came to see her granddaughter, which is my daughter. 2 years after.
Brand new baby.
She came to see a brand new baby. It was an exciting moment, but unfortunately, my daughter had COVID. I had COVID. We had to put my mom elsewhere with my sister for at least the quarantine time until everything's fine because she's diabetic. We didn't want to put her at risk. That's the reason why she didn't live right with me, but she lived with my sister 10 minutes away from where I live. It was on Tuesday. I walked in there because it was my daughter's birthday, and Grandma didn't see her grandbaby for the first time. We were okay. We would go there in the morning. We're gonna surprise Grandma for the first time. It's your birthday. We bring in cake. You're gonna be 2. It was just an exciting moment. That was 4 days after my mom came. It was 4 days. She came on January 27th, and that was January 31st. So we went there in the room, walking. My sister went to school, the other went to work, and one went to school. She was home with a friend that she came with her friend, a friend of hers. So walking to the apartment, and everybody was quiet. Well, my sister previously called me and said, "Hey, Mom threw up last night, and she was not feeling so well, but she's sleeping." I was like, "Okay." I got there at 9 o'clock. I was thinking about going there at 12 after lunch, but I said, "No, let me get there at 9 o'clock." And the daughter was sleeping, and I went there walking. There was no noise. I said, maybe she's tired. I'll let her sleep a little bit. It's 9 o'clock. So if she slept at 6 or 7, that's only 2 hours. I'll give her a little bit more time. Then I'll surprise her, just open the door and come in with the cake, and we can just, big happy family. Finally, she can see her granddaughter. Then I tried to put my baby in bed, but she didn't want to sleep. She started crying, and I was like, "Oh man, that would mess up
she's gonna wake Grandma."
I know, I don't want that. She'll mess up her surprise. So, oh my God, you know what? She's Grandma. She'll be up and she'll go back to sleep later on because she was still having the time difference from home and here. We have like 6 hours. It was like 6 hour difference, so she sleeps late and wake up very, very late in the afternoon. So I went there, opened the room, I opened the door, just walked in. Her friend was sitting on the floor holding her hand. And it was so hot. It was so hot in the room. I said, "What's going on here? It's too hot." "Oh no, your mom said she was cold, so I put in the heat on." And she even put the portable one. I said, "Really?" And I came, "Mom." I called her mom. She was no. I said, "Why are you sitting in the corner?" She's like, "No, she's moving a lot. I didn't want her to fall off the bed, so she's sitting on this corner so she won't fall off the bed." I said, "Since when?" She said, "Since 8:30," and at that time it was already 10ish. So I went there, called Mom. Mom, I was calling her name. She was not moving. She was not talking. Her eyes was just the white. I got scared. I said, maybe her sugar went up. I looked for her sugar machine. I tried to check her sugar. I was shaking. I couldn't even hold the right to check her sugar. So I was like, maybe she's tired. Maybe she slept early. So I was just telling Mom. And I said, "Mom, look at her granddaughter was sitting," because my daughter was asking, "Mom, what happened?" Because I started screaming. And I look on the side of the mom, look at your granddaughter. She couldn't open her eyes. She was just making those morning voice, but she's not moving, nothing. And I stood her up. I said, "Try to sit down." She was falling off on the bed and said, "Yeah, this is serious. So I have to take her to the hospital." I didn't even think about calling 911 because my mind were the time to call 911. I'm freaking out. The time that
you had to get her.
I was so
you
scared.
had to get her in the car. How'd you get her even in the car? Did you carry her?
I asked her I couldn't carry her because she was a little bit heavier. She's not too heavy. She's like 150 pounds, but at that time she became so heavy. So I asked her friend, "Why didn't you call me?" She said, "Oh, the internet is not working." I said, but you could have go out downstairs. This is 2 hours. She's being this way. We don't even know if it's 2 hours. Maybe she'd been this way earlier. So I started panicking. I tried to take her with me. I couldn't. I said, okay, you can put her on your back, piggyback her. We go into my car. We putting her in the car. So that's what we went downstairs, put in the car. The car was parked in the front. The ER was 6 minutes from where they live. I drove her right to the ER. And there, it was a whole total different story. The trajectory of her life is just kind of chaotic.
Because she is coming from Africa and she has no insurance. She's coming to America. Yeah. And almost as you and I have talked about before, that it's a blessing. She's here in the U.S. to get care, and you get to be with her and you get to advocate for her. You get to see her. She does get to see her daughters, her granddaughter, and everything else. So when you're in the emergency room with her, what happens from that point?
It was so scary because I was thinking she doesn't have nothing to stay here legally. She doesn't have her visa was expiring in February 6th, and she doesn't have insurance, and bringing her to big hospital. It was a lot of battering in my mind. So when I brought her there to the emergency room, you can just see everybody was stressed out, and I didn't know what was going on. Her fever was high. Her fever was high. And she was shaking cold, very shivering. We had to hold her down so she won't shiver. They gave all the medication. I didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. The only thing that I told the doctors were she's diabetic, just to make sure that they know exactly what medication to give her or anything just for those first hours. They don't have no medical record. They don't have nothing, just what I'm telling them. It was very chaotic. It was very, very chaotic. We sat there, my sister and I, we sat there for 24 hours straight without even sleeping. Our eyes was on the machines to see her heart rate was dropping. One of them, it dropped to 30. Because the doctor said as long as she can keep it 60 or 65, it should be fine. But it was dropping just in a second. So if they use the pressors, we didn't have an idea. They didn't say anything. Sometimes they do that. The fever was not going low. Her white blood count was going high. When we got there, it was 12. Then it went to 20. Then it went to 30. Then it went to 40. When I'm asking questions, it's getting worse. What's getting worse? What is it? The infection disease came to say she got a UTI. It was a UTI and E. coli. Now after hours to find out it's a UTI and E. coli that went to her bloodstream. Then I was like, because she was complaining of having a pain, pelvic pain. Did you get checked to see if there's anything else? And they decide, okay, we're going to do the CT scan, like a below abdominal CT scan. When they came back, she had her kidney was infected and had gas and water. That's what the doctor said.
And coming up right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to find out what's next and what the treatment plan is for Jenny's mom. So stay with us.
3 years ago, my symptoms started with leg pain and leg cramps while walking.
Me too, with a tightness in my calves.
Well, do you know, my doctor thought that my leg cramps were a side effect of the statin he prescribed me.
Well, my doctor just brushed them off as another symptom of old age.
Mine thought the pain was radiating from my spine.
My doctor blamed my neuropathy on diabetes until I got a wound on my foot that just wouldn't heal.
Yeah, it turns out we all have peripheral artery disease, also known as PAD.
It's plaque buildup mainly in the leg arteries causing poor circulation.
For me, the diagnosis came too late and I lost my leg, but that does not have to happen to you.
No, it does not, because there are treatment options available if you're diagnosed early enough.
PAD. Peripheral artery disease. If you've been experiencing leg pain, leg cramps, or neuropathy when walking, and your doctor isn't hearing you, we are. We are the Way to My Heart, the largest support network for peripheral artery disease patients, and we want to help you get back on your feet again. Visit our website at thewaytomyheart.org or call our Leg Saver hotline 415-320-7138. Your life and limb could depend on it.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Jenny, I just want to make sure I understand what's going on.
Sure.
Mom, it sounds like, is becoming very sick. She has a urinary tract infection that has ultimately gotten into her bloodstream. And because of that, her blood pressure is dropping. And we use the term septic. But again, it's just a very severe infection that can lead to organ dysfunction and or failure. It sounds like the kidneys are not working. Obviously, in these situations, we worry about other organs failing, acid building up, the body not able to help itself. And so clearly, it sounds like she's on some medication to support her blood pressure and heart rate potentially, but she's not doing well right now. Is she on a breathing machine, or is she, coherent with you and able to converse?
Thank God she is off of the breathing machine. She's talking, she's eating. It just, she went through surgeries. That's the only, now we're dealing more likely with her mental state, more likely, because she slept and wake up, her that's what she said, her arm is burned and her leg is burned, and now they amputated her. That's the mental statement that we're dealing with right now. As right now, she's, yes.
But so during this time when they're still trying to work her up, and it's very difficult in the emergency room because they kind of oftentimes have to take a shotgun approach to treating somebody and trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of balls in the air. It's chaotic. But so they've got a diagnosis, and it's my understanding that she obviously was getting very, very sick.
Very sick, yeah.
They made the decision that they needed to support her heart and lungs by using something called ECMO. Is that correct?
Yes, they used the ECMO and the vasopressor. I learned about it later on when everything was talking about amputation, because I didn't know. It was not discussed. That's one of the things also I realized the communication wasn't as it's supposed to be. So to support her life, that's what they did. And when they did the CT scan, they wanted to do an emergency surgery with her kidney to put, I forgot the name, the tube on the left.
That's the ECMO machine, the catheter, right?
The catheter, so it can drain the
so they probably had to do a nephrostomy tube to drain.
Nephrostomy, yes.
Yeah, so I would imagine the kidney's infected. They need to try to remove the infection from that. But clearly she's not doing well. And so the decision to put somebody on what's called ECMO, so that stands for extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, which is just kind of a fancy term for we're taking out her blood through the vein, we're putting it through a machine, we're oxygenating it, and then we're pumping it back in through an artery. So we have bypassed the heart and lung in her situation. And in doing so, folks have pretty big tubes in their legs. The blood flow below where that tube is put in can often be compromised because the body, if you think about it, right, when you go outside in the cold, what gets cold the quickest? It's your hands and your toes, because the vessels, what we call vasoconstrict, they clamp down and they shunt blood to vital organs, kidneys, heart, etc., the core. And in this situation, it's the same thing. And unfortunately, we do see patients who are on ECMO who are requiring medications to support their blood pressure. These medications cause this, what's called vasoconstriction. So the vaso vessels constrict or clamp down. And then when they clamp down, the organ that they're giving blood flow to is not getting blood flow anymore. And it's typically the fingers and the toes. And in some cases, patients can lose, they can get a major amputation from it. But this is all done to save the body, save the brain, save the heart, save the kidneys. You do rob Peter to pay Paul in these situations, but I would venture to guess that if your mom was not put on ECMO, she would not be alive right now.
Okay. I have a question, Dr. Philip.
Yes.
When they compromise the extremities, the hand and the feet, is there any way they could like just like they're doing the ECMO, they're doing the tubing, everything. There's any way they could just provide like oxygen or blood by blood transfusion through her extremities while doing that to make sure that the blood flow still, they can still have a little bit of the blood flow instead of just letting it dry out.
The only option that we have is to often put a tube in so the tube that's in the artery is pointing towards her heart. Okay.
Right.
And below that tube, and that tube is typically in the growing, in the what's called the femoral artery, we can put a tube pointing down towards the feet and hook up blood flow to that to provide flow into the leg. That will oftentimes preserve the leg itself, but in the setting of somebody who's so sick that the vessels, in order to maintain adequate blood pressure, you have heavy doses of medication they're meant to clamp down and constrict and allow for that pressure to go up. You oftentimes compromise the smallest arteries in the hands and the toes, and there's not really much you can do about that. And patients lose digits, and you're going to tell us it sounds like your mom lost limbs from this.
Yes, she did. That was one of my concerns because I was thinking about if they should have preserved the big organs, they could have done maybe, like you said, something to preserve, especially the hands, because the limbs can be.
It's unfortunate that we can't. We really don't have a good way, or any way for that matter, to perfuse or give oxygen and nutrients and blood to the hands in the situation where there's a lot of medications that are really clamping down those vessels.
Right, including the vasopressors that also have side effects that may include complications such as the potential for amputation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the they're called vasopressors, but basically they constrict the vessels to support the blood flow, and that they are the primary kind of nidus for causing that constriction and then potentially leading to the amputation. But again, if there's no brain, if there's no heart, if there's no kidneys, it doesn't matter if you have hands or feet. And that's the way we look at it. And it may seem kind of callous, but I can assure you they did whatever they could to save your mom. And this is the collateral damage that occurs and it is a war during this war to save.
And a couple things that especially for people who have family members that are in ICU, they're on the ECMO machine, they're on vasopressors, et cetera. A couple things that we've learned, Jenny and I, along the way from talking to some ECMO specialists is to make sure that they do have someone that's monitoring the gases and the coagulation of the blood. Can you, or at least the thickness of the blood? Would you mind expanding on that and just why they have to monitor those two things?
So you have to make sure the blood has a certain pH to it because that allows it to function in its optimal range. You have to make sure that there's certain amounts of oxygen in the blood and the carbon dioxide is being removed. So this is it's called the gas exchange that's occurring outside the body. And the blood also has to be very thin in most cases. Now, getting into the weeds a little bit, but most situations, the patients are on blood thinners to prevent clotting and fairly high doses. There are some places that actually do run the ECMO, it's called an ECMO circuit, without being on a blood thinner. But there are also things that we worry about are the platelet levels and the what are called the coagulation factors. Yes. Are they in their appropriate range? And so ECMO is not done very frequently if you think about it, but when it is, so it's done for folks that are very, very sick and on the this is a life-saving intervention. And so in these situations where there's a lot of moving parts, it's not uncommon for certain things to go wrong. And there are ECMO specialists. I would imagine in this situation, you have an intensive care doctor, you have the infectious disease doctors, you have potentially respiratory therapists that can run the ECMO machines, or we call perfusionists that run them. You have a lot of cooks in this kitchen, so to speak, that are all kind of hopefully pulling the rope in the same direction to save your mom's life and have a meaningful life. And so
coming up
right
here on the Heart of Innovation, we have so much to talk about. It's just hard to take a break in a conversation like this. But coming up next, we are going to just get to the heart of what it's like to be a family member in this situation and feel helpless as your family members going through sitting in ICU, not knowing, whether they're going to be alive, lose their life, lose their limb. And Jenny is going to share her experience. Hopefully you will learn from that. So stay with us.
What does the color of your feet say about your vascular health? Hi, I'm Dr. Gary Rothenberg, a podiatrist and Director of Medical Affairs for Podometrics, a diabetic foot diagnostic mat company. I'm coming to you this week with your medical notepad, brought to you by Cardiovascular Systems Incorporated's patient advocacy campaign, Take a Stand Against Amputation and the Way to My Heart. Today, we're talking about the color of your feet. Skin discoloration can occur to the feet and legs for a variety of reasons and can range from pale white to dark black in discoloration. Of course, we have to take into account the patient's normal skin tone, and it's a relative change in the skin discoloration that could be, again, white, purple, blue, or even dark black in discoloration. Some of these, again, based on the person's usual skin tone, can be very obvious, or they can be particularly subtle, and we have to pay close attention. Skin discoloration can occur for a variety of reasons, including dermatologic conditions, such as eczema or psoriasis, or even skin cancers cause skin discoloration. There are also systemic issues like diabetes and peripheral arterial disease or infections that can cause discoloration as well. We all have also bumped our little toe on the nightstand and it turns usually purple, yellow, or even black from discoloration of trauma and bruising. So we do oftentimes want to pay particular attention to the discoloration, but also to any potential symptoms or signs that are associated with that discoloration. So what do I mean by that? We want to know, is there also temperature changes? So does that area of brown discoloration or purple discoloration also feel particularly cool or warm to the touch? Cool may be a sign of poor circulation. Warm may be a sign of infection. What about also, is there swelling in that local area? Or is there a break in the skin? Are there bumps? Is there drainage? So not only do we want to pay attention to the discoloration, but it's like putting a puzzle together with other signs or symptoms as well. In particular, those at risk for developing peripheral arterial disease and diabetes, usually we look for skin discoloration along the legs or the feet, and some common conditions may be venous insufficiency. Also, these generally present as purple or brownish patches on the lower extremity and are commonly associated with swelling and even can blister and open up into open sores. I also like to emphasize that sometimes skin discoloration is temporary, and that's what we expect. So as an example, you might be caught outdoors for a longer period of time than you expected on a cool day. You come home and there may be some purple discoloration to your feet. Well, the next morning when you awaken, I would presume and assume that that discoloration has resolved. So again, these things that persist, that have other associated symptoms, those are particularly concerning to me as a provider, and I would encourage you to discuss with your healthcare provider. Again, I'm Dr. Gary Rothenberg. For more information on peripheral arterial disease, go to standagainstamputation.com. And for real-time support and advocacy, go to thewaytomyheart.com. urinaryltract.org. Remember, the information provided in this series are for educational purposes only. Don't act on any information provided without the explicit consent of your healthcare team who knows your situation best. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We are talking to Jenny, who is sitting in a hospital room right now near her mom, who has been fighting for her life. But Jenny, you've been fighting right alongside her every step of the way. And throughout the show, we've been getting insight from Dr. Phillips about the technology, the medicine behind what your mom has been going through. But for you, can you talk from your perspective, the family member watching this go on with your mom and having to make the critical decisions?
Thank you, Kim. It is scary.
Honestly, it is really scary.
It is very scary because you don't know. You don't know what the next doctor will come and tell you. You don't know what the next approach is. You don't know. What really, it's tough. You don't know because this is new. This is life-changing. And as right now, maybe I try because I have you. I'm having those questions. I have another girl that I find out she went through the same situation. That's the good thing to do. Do your research and find something that gave me a little bit of hope. Because my mind, you're thinking about the worst. Like, okay, 4 limbs off. What is she gonna do? She's not from here. Where she's from, being amputee or being a disabled person, you don't count. You do not count. You cannot work. If you want to marry, nobody will marry you. If it's an end for you, even for 1 limb, for you, life is done. It's over. So her coming here, waking up 4 days after, and now 4 limbs is gone. So she feel worthless. And you're thinking about that because I'm from Africa as well. And thinking about that before even her, you think about you and you think about her and you think about your siblings. So the pain is just crucial. So finding someone who been through the same situation help to ask questions. How did you do this? How did you do? So you need to do your own research. Find someone, learn from them, and try to explain them to the best of their ability to understand that there's still life after this. It's hard, even yourself, you don't accept it, but you need to make them accept that there's life after this.
Gosh, that must be so hard, especially
it is hard.
Even your sisters, that all of you being from the Congo and being in that culture where they just feel as though someone who loses their limbs is worthless. And you're thinking in your minds, oh my gosh, my mom is not worthless. She means the world to us. And your sister reached out to us here at the Weight of My Heart. And that's how you and I got connected. And take us from there.
She reached out to you and she called me. She was at work. She called me like, Chen, take this number. Please call her. She called me. Please call her. I cannot be on the phone right now. She may help us save mom. Live. But it is hard. It is extremely hard. You can't just imagine that. So now, she came to take care of her granddaughter. Now we got to take care of 110%. And also for my culture is more likely if you cannot see your mom fully undressed. It's bad luck. But then we're in the hospital. You got to do what you got to do so she can be clean. Even though people are doing that, but it's not the way she likes it. So you got to step in and do the work while you're battling your mind. It goes, okay, my God, what are we going to do after here? Oh, my God. Well, how can we do it? Oh, my God. Like we say, work. We took off work. All my sister quit the work. Whoever was going to school, quit school. I didn't work for like 2 months now. We're like, oh my God, what can we do? So because she doesn't speak English, there's not her dialect, there's not like an interpreter here. So that means when the doctor comes in speaking very clearly, oh, she may die. So she's looking at you. What the doctor said, you gotta gasp first before trying to make it to the best way possible to explain to her. you can just stand there and just start crying. And she looked at you, she's like, what's going on? What did they say? You just like stop. It feel like your heart stops, life stops. You can do nothing no more. You are dead. That's how I felt like. I felt like a dead person just trying to walk. This time I was just zone out, dark. I mean, faint, but I was just trying. I can't do this because I'm a healthcare proxy. I gotta stay hard. I gotta stand up because I gotta stand up for her. I need to find out what's going on, how, and it'd be like, okay, there's no assurance. There won't be a rehabilitation. You gotta take her home just like this. Be careful. It's just a nightmare. It is a nightmare. It is hard. Faith. That's one thing that carried us. Just faith and praying. God, please protect her heart. We don't want her to give up. We can give everything we can give, but if she gave up, that's it. How can you just convince your mom, okay, you know what, just give up your limbs. It's fine. Just let them cut it off. We don't know.
You used social media after that to find someone who would talk to her. TikTok, of all things.
I know, TikTok. Because I was desperate. I was desperate at that point because I'm the oldest of 4. I need to be strong for my mom. I need to be strong for my dad who's still back home. I need to be strong for my siblings who are here with me. I need to be strong for her family member who's still back over there. They're asking questions. So I'll be on my phone 24/7 trying to update anybody. By the end of the day, I'm drained. And I got to do that again the next morning with the doctors who are coming. Then I was like, you know what? I know this may happen. They start looking at amputation. I need to find somebody who looks like her just to see what's going on.
So tell us about that search.
The search, it took me like a week, and I was finding, I'll find someone, I'll come to talk to them like, oh, I'll find someone, then I talk to them, and if they see like it's normal here, but then even though I tell her, she'd be like, oh, they're from here, that's normal here. They're from here, that's normal. But out of the blue, I tried again, and I find that girl. I just texted her, emailed her, please, girl, call me. I'm desperate. I need help. So I can at least show to my siblings, show to my mom, show to my family member to see like, hey, look at her. She's living her life. She's running marathon. She's doing this. She's cooking. She's a mother. She's a wife. It's okay. So out of the sudden, she took my number. She called me right away. She called me, and since then, she's been a big help. Not only for her, for my mom, for me to stay strong, because if she did it, she can do it. And I asked her, where are you from? She's like, oh no, I'm from Kenya. I was like, thank God. She's a believer. We are believers. So mom, look, see, she's from Africa too, and it happened to her. This is what happened with the family member. They didn't want to do the amputation. The family was praying because it was more likely family are praying. The limb will come back. I said, I believe to the power of the God, everything I do. But sometimes it's here. You can see she can have fever out of the blue. We're talking, she gets a fever. She becomes unconscious. She lost her mind. Her muscles, her face muscles start shaking. And that's, again, scary. It's taking me back to the day I found her, the day that we went to the ER. It just scares your heart. Just stop. It goes like, okay, I would prefer to see her in a wheelchair than just see her dad. I can't. So we need to convince her. I talked to the girl. She's like, I'm willing to come down there to the hospital. If you come to give her a little bit of motivation, I will be there to come just so I can motivate her to do this, because I'm like this and I'm leaving. It's okay. And I'm going to walk you guys through everything you need. So she's been calling FaceTime. She been had the prosthetic. She's showing us, I got some 3 or 4 you can use. So the big problem was more likely when they do the amputation to save the knees and the elbows. And that was a hard problem too, because the doctor was suggesting above the knees and above the elbow. I fight so hard for that. I don't care how long it takes. You got to do below the knee. No, my mom, she's 55. No, her chance of walking is very slim. She's seeing her age, we don't think she will use her limb no more. She'll be wheelchair bound. And every day my mom be like, I prefer being dead than being in a wheelchair. I was like, so what am I doing here? What am I going to do? What are we going to do? So we support each other. My siblings and I, we support each other. We are like two Me and my other sister, other side, we say, okay, fine. They'll do the amputation. We'll see what's going on after that. The other two was like, there's no way they'll do the amputation. I'm sorry. Even though I'm a healthcare proxy, I just need the approval of all three of them because we're still going through the same thing. I cannot just put them on the dark. I need to make them understand so we can do the work. It was hard. And I have
That's a lot of pressure on you. Yeah.
It is a lot of pressure. And the doctor, when you say the kidney doctor come talk to you, the blood doctor come talk to you, you have a doctor who's telling you, oh yeah, she may die on the table when they do the surgery. Okay, what am I supposed to do? And she doesn't have a lot of blood. That's one thing you have to battle with negativity. Okay.
Well, coming up right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to find out where her mom is right now in her journey and what's next. So stay with us.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
So Jenny, during the break, you were sharing with us that as it stands right now, your mom has lost both her upper extremities, but above the elbows, and the right leg below the knee. And tomorrow she's having surgery on the left leg, and they have to decide whether or not it's going to be above or below the knee.
Yes. For the upper extremity, she did have is below the elbow.
Oh, below the elbows. I'm sorry.
Yes,
okay.
Slightly below the elbow. And her left leg, it was below the knee. She has a surgery. She having a surgery tomorrow, which we're hoping to be below the knees as well. At least she can have some mobility, flexibility to do.
Right. So
I think she accepted that.
Like, put us in. It's hard to walk a mile in your shoes, or let alone your mom's. But listening to you, and I'm kind of taken aback on how focused you seem to be. There's a task at hand, and you have to kind of execute that task, meaning get mom through point, get her through this and get her through that, and just kind of move and march forward. Where did you get that inner resolve from? I'm assuming from your parents. So mom must have the same inner resolve too. So it sounds like she has that will to survive, and you guys are going to keep fighting, and she's going to do okay, right?
Yes. She wants to fight, because at the end of the day, when we didn't beg. What I started because the doctor were like, oh, we're going to tell her we're going to have a amputation. I said, no, she won't understand your language. She'll understand how we, as her daughter, explaining to her. First of all, we'll start by encouraging her how strong she is. We know how to play around that area so we can talk to her. Then we can bring up the surgery matter. Before bringing that up, the pictures, the video that I found for the girl that I found on TikTok, she's showing her this live. Look at this book. Look at this teacher. She's doing this. She lost her, just to do those prep before telling her exactly what's going on. But it was not sitting well with the doctors. It was a whole chaos before. Literally, I wasn't there. They brought like an interpreter. They brought everybody came to her, talked to her. And she refused to talk to them. I said, I want my mom to leave. I'm not going to lie to her. It takes time for us to explain to her, for her to understand what's going on. Because as ourselves, we don't understand what's going on. We know just it happened. We were not prepped for this. We were not prepared for the pressures we're going to do. It was just out of the sudden. It came, we do amputation. Go the OT, PT.
Sorry to interrupt, but we only have about a minute left. Do you have a new mission in life now?
I do. I absolutely do. Kim, patient advocate, it's something that I'm called. That's my calling. I need to do that. If I had people on my side came, and the one I find on TikTok helped me throughout the journey, and I'm helping my siblings to understand, and I'm helping her. And it's going a little bit easier than I thought it would be. Not easier, but it's going positively than I thought it would be. It was a try. And why can I not do it for all the people, or the patient, or the family?
You feel like there's a purpose, right?
It's a purpose. It's the purpose because without the help, I don't know, we will go crazy, absolutely crazy, because we don't know. This is a new life. This is a new era. This is a new, everything is new. We don't know how to do it, but having someone next to you to understand what you're going through and give you the good advice and just guide you, it's very, very helpful. It's very helpful that you can't even imagine, because it gives me the strength to help my family.
Yep. And now Jenny and I are on this next phase of this journey, and we are launching Limbless and Living Through the Weight of My Heart. And we are going to find new initiatives and new innovation that are helping those who are limb different. So make sure you go to theweightofmyheart.org and send us a message through there and ask to subscribe to this new initiative that we are doing so that we can help Jenny, her mom, and so many others limb different and thrive. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing your story, for your courage, for your perseverance. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kim. Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Thank you. It says iPhone.
Jenny, you're an inspiration, and as is your mom.
You.
So good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phillips. I appreciate that.